The hospital cafeteria was busy on that Tuesday evening. Doctors and nurses moved between tables, eating their dinner after long shifts. The smell of coffee mixed with the sound of tired conversations. Samantha sat alone at a corner table, still, wearing her blue nurse uniform. Her long brown hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail, and her kind eyes looked tired but peaceful. She had been working at City General Hospital for 3 years now. At 28, Samantha loved her job more than anything. Taking care of patients made her feel useful. She always stayed late to help, even when her shift was over. Her friends often told her she worked too much, but Samantha did not mind. She believed helping others was the most important thing in life. The hospital was having a small event that night. It was nothing fancy, just a gathering for staff and some visitors who supported the hospital. Samantha had not planned to stay, but her friend Lisa had asked her to come. Lisa worked in the same department and was always trying to get Samantha to be more social. "You need to meet new people," Lisa would say. "Not just work all the time." Samantha usually laughed off these suggestions. She had been hurt before in relationships and was not looking for anyone new. Work was enough for her. But tonight, something felt different. Maybe it was the warm spring air coming through the open windows. Maybe she was just tired of eating dinner alone. She picked at her salad and watched people talk around her. Doctors discussed their cases, nurses shared stories about their patients, and visitors asked questions about the hospital programs. Everyone seemed to have someone to talk to except her. Then she saw him. He was standing near the information table, talking to Dr. Martinez about the children's ward. He was tall with dark hair and kind eyes. What caught Samantha's attention was not just how he looked, but how he listened. He nodded when Dr. Martinez spoke, asked thoughtful questions, and seemed genuinely interested in learning about the hospital's work. Most visitors who came to these events were there for business reasons, or to make themselves look good. But this man seemed different. He was wearing a simple blue shirt and dark pants, nothing expensive or flashy. When Dr. Martinez finished talking, the man thanked him warmly and shook his hand with both hands like he really meant it. Samantha found herself watching him as he moved through the room. He stopped to talk with several nurses, asking about their work and listening carefully to their answers. He did not check his phone or look around the room while they talked. He gave each person his full attention, something Samantha rarely saw anymore. "Who is that man talking to everyone?" she asked Lisa when her friend came back to the table. Lisa looked over and smiled. "That's Derek. He's new to the volunteer program. He wants to help with patient support services. Dr. Martinez says he's very committed to helping." "Does he do for work?" "I think he works in business somewhere. He seems more interested in talking about the hospital than his job. He's been here for 2 hours already, just learning about different departments." Samantha watched Derek talk to an elderly volunteer. The woman was explaining something about the gift shop, and Derek listened like it was the most interesting thing he had ever heard. When she finished, he smiled and said something that made her laugh. "He seems nice," Samantha said quietly. "Why don't you go talk to him?" Lisa suggested. "I know more about patient care than anyone here. He might want to learn from you." Samantha shook her head. "I'm not good at talking to strangers. I talk to new patients every day. That's different. That's work." Lisa sat down across from her. "Samantha, you're 28 years old. Can't avoid meeting people forever. And look at him. He's spending his free time at a hospital event, trying to help sick people. How bad can he be?" Samantha looked at Derek again. He was now talking to a young nurse from the emergency department. The nurse looked stressed, probably from a difficult shift, but Derek was listening to her with patience and understanding. When she finished talking, he said something that made her smile for the first time that evening. "Maybe after I finish eating," Samantha said. But before she could change her mind, Derek was walking toward their table. He had seen Lisa wave at him and was coming over to say hello. Samantha felt her heart start beating faster. She was not used to feeling nervous about meeting someone. "Hi, Lisa," Derek said when he reached their table. "Thank you for telling me about the volunteer program. Everyone has been so helpful tonight." "I'm glad to hear that," Lisa replied. "Derek, this is my friend Samantha. She works in the cardiac unit. She's one of our best nurses. Derek turned to look at Samantha, and she felt her breath catch. Up close, his eyes were even kinder than she had noticed from across the room. They were a warm brown color, and when he smiled, small lines appeared at the corners that showed he smiled often. "It's nice to meet you, Samantha," he said, extending his hand. "I've heard wonderful things about the cardiac unit. The work you do must be very meaningful." Samantha shook his hand, noticing how warm and steady it felt. "It is," she said simply. "I love helping people when they're scared or hurting." "That takes a special kind of person," Derek said. "I've been learning tonight about how much care goes into helping patients heal. It's not just about medicine, is it? It's about making people feel safe and understood." Samantha was surprised by his insight. Most people outside healthcare did not understand the emotional side of nursing. "Exactly," she said, feeling more comfortable. "Sometimes holding someone's hand or listening to their worries helps as much as any medicine." "Would you mind if I sat down?" Derek asked. "I'd love to hear more about your work, if you don't mind sharing." Lisa smiled and stood up. "I need to get back to work anyway. You'd have a good conversation." As Lisa left, Derek sat down across from Samantha. "I hope I'm not bothering you," he said. "You look like you might want to be alone." "Oh, it's fine," Samantha said, surprised to find that she meant it. "What made you want to volunteer at the hospital?" Derek was quiet for a moment, and Samantha could see he was thinking carefully about his answer. "My grandmother spent her last months in a hospital," he said finally.
Oh.
"The nurses there were like angels. They made her feel dignified and loved, even when she was dying. I promised myself that someday I would try to give back the same kind of care she received." Samantha felt her heart warm at his words. She had heard many reasons why people wanted to volunteer, but this felt genuine and personal. "I'm sorry about your grandmother," she said softly. "Thank you. She was an amazing woman. She always told me that the most important thing in life was to help others when they needed it most. I think she would be happy to know I'm finally doing something about that." They talked for another hour. Derek asked thoughtful questions about Samantha's work, and she found herself opening up in ways she had not expected. He wanted to know about the challenges nurses faced, how patients and families coped with serious illness, and what volunteers could do to really help. But Derek also shared things about himself. He told her about his job in business consulting, but he seemed more excited talking about his volunteer plans. He had ideas about starting support groups for families of heart patients and organizing activities for children in the hospital. "You really care about this?" Samantha observed. "I do," Derek said. "I've spent too many years just working to make money. I want to do something that matters." When the event ended, Derek walked Samantha to her car. The spring air was cool and fresh, and the parking lot was quiet except for the distant sound of traffic. "Thank you for talking with me tonight," Derek said. "I learned more from you than anyone else here." "I enjoyed it too," Samantha replied, realizing she really had. "I don't usually talk about work so much, but you made it easy." "Would you maybe like to have coffee sometime?" Derek asked. "I'd love to continue our conversation. I promise to ask about things other than work." Samantha hesitated. She had not been on a date in over a year, and she was not sure she was ready. But something about Derek felt safe and genuine. "I'd like that," she said. They exchanged phone numbers, and Derek promised to call her soon. Samantha drove home. She found herself smiling. The first time in a long time, she was looking forward to something other than work. She had no idea that this perfect beginning would lead to the most painful lesson of her life. 2 months after meeting Derek at the hospital event, Samantha felt happier than she had in years. Their relationship had grown slowly and naturally, like a flower blooming in spring. Derek called her every day, sometimes just to hear her voice. He brought her coffee during her breaks and always asked about her patients with genuine interest. What surprised Samantha most was how Derek remembered small details about her life. He knew that she preferred tea over coffee in the evening, that she worried about her elderly patients more than others, and that she had a favorite spot in the hospital garden where she went to think. He seemed to care about everything that mattered to her. They had been on several dates, each one better than the last. Derek took her to quiet restaurants where they could talk for hours. He listened when she told him about difficult days at work, and he shared his own dreams about making a difference in people's lives. Samantha felt like she had finally found someone who understood her. "I think I'm falling in love with him," she told Lisa one evening as they walked to the parking garage after their shift. Lisa smiled. "I can tell. You've been glowing for weeks. And he seems completely smitten with you too." "Do you really think so? Are you kidding? The man brings you flowers every Friday and remembers the names of all your patients. He's definitely in love." Samantha felt her heart flutter with happiness. She had been hurt before, but Derek felt different. He was patient and kind, and he seemed to genuinely care about her work and her dreams. For the first time in years, she was thinking about the future with excitement instead of fear. That Tuesday started like any other day. Samantha arrived at the hospital early, as usual, and checked on her patients during the morning rounds. Was working in the cardiac unit, helping people recover from heart surgery and manage heart disease. It was demanding work, but she loved seeing patients get better and go home to their families. Around noon, she was helping an elderly man named Mr. Johnson walk down the hallway when she felt a strange sensation in her chest. It was like a flutter, followed by a sharp pain that made her gasp. "Are you okay, dear?" Mr. Johnson asked, noticing her expression. "I'm fine," Samantha said, but she was not fine. The pain was getting worse, and she felt dizzy and short of breath. "Maybe you should sit down," Mr. Johnson suggested. He was looking worried. Samantha helped him back to his room and then sat down at the nurse's station. She tried to take deep breaths, but the pain in her chest was spreading to her left arm. Had seen enough heart patients to know these symptoms were serious. Lisa found her there 5 minutes later, pale and sweating. "Sam, what's wrong?" Lisa asked, immediately concerned. "I think something's wrong with my heart," Samantha whispered. "It hurts, and I can't breathe properly." Lisa did not hesitate. She called for a wheelchair and rushed Samantha to the emergency department. Within minutes, Samantha was lying on a gurney with electrodes attached to her chest and an IV in her arm. Dr. Williams, the emergency physician, looked at her test results with a frown. "Samantha, your heart rhythm is very irregular, and your blood pressure is dangerously low. We need to run more tests right away." The next few hours were a blur of tests and worried faces. Samantha had blood drawn, chest x-rays, and an echocardiogram. Each test seemed to make the doctors more concerned. Finally, Dr. Chen, the cardiologist, came to talk to her. "Samantha, I have some difficult news," Dr. Chen said gently. "You have a condition called dilated cardiomyopathy. Your heart muscle is weakened and enlarged, and it's not pumping blood effectively." Samantha felt like the world was spinning. "I'm healthy. I exercise and eat well. Sometimes these conditions develop without any obvious cause. The good news is that we caught it early, and there are treatments available. But I won't lie to you. This is a serious condition that will require ongoing care." "What kind of treatments?" "We'll start with medications to help your heart work more efficiently and reduce the strain on it. You'll need to make some lifestyle changes, including reducing your work hours and avoiding strenuous activities. We'll monitor you closely and adjust your treatment as needed." Samantha tried to process this information. "Will I be able to keep working?" "For now, yes, but with restrictions. No lifting heavy patients, no working long shifts, and you'll need to take breaks more frequently. Your heart needs time to rest and heal." After Dr. Chen left, Samantha lay in the hospital bed feeling scared and alone. She had spent her career taking care of other people's hearts, and now her own heart was failing her, hoping his voice would make her feel better. "Derek, I'm in the hospital," she said when he answered. "Something's wrong with my heart." "What? Are you okay? Which hospital?" "I'm coming right now. I'm at City General in the emergency department. Doctors say I have some kind of heart condition. I'll be there in 10 minutes. Don't worry about anything. I'm going to take care of you." Derek arrived exactly 10 minutes later, still wearing his business suit from work. He looked panicked and worried, and when he saw Samantha lying in the hospital bed, his eyes filled with tears. "Are you in pain?" he asked, taking her hand gently. "Not right now. They gave me medication, but Derek, I'm scared. The doctors say my heart is damaged and I might not be able to work the way I used to." Derek sat down beside her bed and squeezed her hand. We'll figure this out together. Whatever you need, whatever the doctors recommend, we'll make it work. Your health is the most important thing. But what if I can't work full-time anymore? What if I can't take care of patients the way I want to? Then we'll find other ways for you to help people. Maybe you could teach nursing students or work in administration. There are lots of ways to make a difference in healthcare. Samantha felt some of her fear melting away. Derek was right. It was scary. But she did not have to face it alone. She had someone who cared about her and wanted to help her through this difficult time. Over the next few days, Samantha underwent more tests to determine the severity of her condition. The results were not encouraging. Her heart function was worse than the doctors had initially thought, and the medications were not helping as much as they had hoped. Derek stayed with her through every appointment and test. He asked the doctors detailed questions about her condition and treatment options. He took notes on everything they said and researched her condition online so he could better understand what she was going through. You don't have to do all this, Samantha told him one evening as he read medical articles on his laptop. I want to understand what you're dealing with, Derek replied. This affects both of us now. We're a team, and I need to know how to help. I love you, Samantha said, and she meant it completely. Derek looked up from his laptop and smiled. I love you too. More than I've ever loved anyone. We're going to get through this together. Dr. Chen called them into her office a week later with more test results. Her expression was serious, and Samantha felt her stomach drop. The medications aren't working as well as we hoped, Dr. Chen explained. Your heart function has continued to decline, and we need to consider more aggressive treatment options. What kind of options? Derek asked. There are a few possibilities. We could try different medications, or we could consider a device like a pacemaker or defibrillator. The worst-case scenario, if your heart continues to deteriorate, we might need to discuss a heart transplant. Samantha felt like she could not breathe. A transplant. Are you saying I might need someone else's heart? It's too early to make that decision now, but I want you to be aware that it's a possibility. For now, we'll try the new medications and see how you respond. We'll monitor you closely and hope for improvement. That night, Samantha and Derek sat in her apartment, holding each other on the couch. Neither of them spoke for a long time. The weight of the diagnosis was settling in, and both of them were trying to process what it meant for their future. I'm not going anywhere, Derek said finally. Whatever happens, whatever treatment you need, I'll be right here with you. This isn't what you signed up for when you asked me out, Samantha said sadly. You wanted to date a healthy nurse, not take care of someone with a failing heart. Derek turned to face her. I signed up to love you, Samantha. All of you. Your kindness, your dedication to helping others, your beautiful heart, even if that heart needs some extra care now. This doesn't change how I feel about you, but what if I get sicker? What if I need a transplant or end up in the hospital? For weeks, then I'll be there. I'll learn everything I can about heart transplants. I'll advocate for you with the doctors. I'll hold your hand through every procedure and celebrate every small victory with you. Samantha felt tears running down her face, but they were tears of gratitude as well as fear. She had found someone who truly loved her, someone who was willing to face the unknown with her. I don't know what I did to deserve you, she whispered. You dedicated your life to taking care of other people, Derek replied. Now it's time to let someone take care of you. As they held each other that night, her heart was failing, but she was not alone. She had Derek, and she had her own strength and determination. Whatever came next, she would face it with courage. She had no idea that the man promising to stand by her side was already planning how to use her illness for his own benefit. The hospital room was quiet, except for the steady beeping of machines. Samantha lay in the narrow bed, her face pale against the white pillow. The 4-tube in her arm felt cold, and the heart monitor showed numbers that made the doctors look worried. 3 weeks had passed since her collapse, and each day brought more bad news about her condition. Derek sat in the chair beside her bed, but his attention was not on her. He was looking at his phone, typing messages with quick fingers. He had been doing this more and more lately, and Samantha was starting to notice. When she tried to talk to him, he would put the phone away quickly and smile, but the smile never reached his eyes like it used to. The doctor wants to run more tests tomorrow, Samantha said softly, hoping to get his attention. Derek. replied without looking up from his phone screen. "Derek, did you hear what I said?" He finally looked at her, but his eyes seemed distant. "Sorry, what was that?" "Work has been crazy lately." Samantha felt a small pain in her chest that had nothing to do with her heart condition. "I said the doctor wants to run more tests. They think my heart is getting worse." Derek put his phone in his pocket and reached for her hand. "I'm sorry, sweetheart. Just stressed about everything. Of course I want to know about the tests. Tell me what the doctor said." But even as he spoke, Samantha could see his phone lighting up with new messages in his pocket. His leg was bouncing with nervous energy like he wanted to be somewhere else. This was not the same man who had listened to her so carefully at the hospital event just a few months ago. "Dr. Chen thinks I might need to be put on the transplant list soon," Samantha continued. "My heart is not responding to the medications like they hoped." Derek's grip on her hand tightened. "A transplant? Are you sure that's necessary?" "I'm scared, Derek. What if they can't find a donor in time? If something goes wrong during the surgery?" "Everything will be fine," Derek said, but his voice sounded automatic, like he was reading from a script. "You're strong. You'll get through this." Samantha wanted to believe him, but something felt wrong. The Derek she had fallen in love with would have asked more questions. He would have wanted to know about the risks, the timeline, what they could do to prepare. Instead, he was giving her simple answers and looking toward the door like he wanted to leave. "Can you stay a little longer today?" she asked. "I know you have work, but I don't like being alone with all these machines." Derek looked at his watch. "I wish I could, but I have an important meeting. You understand, right? I need to keep working so I can take care of you when you get better." After he left, Samantha lay in the dark room, feeling more alone than ever. She tried to tell herself that Derek was just stressed about her illness. People handled fear in different ways, and maybe he was protecting himself by staying busy with work. But deep down, she knew something had changed between them. The next morning, her friend Lisa came to visit before her shift started. Lisa brought flowers and a magazine, but Samantha could see the worry in her eyes. "How are you feeling today?" Lisa asked, pulling the chair closer to the bed. "Physically, about the same." "But Lisa, I'm worried about Derek." "What do you mean?" Samantha told her about Derek's strange behavior, how he seemed distracted and distant. "He used to ask me so many questions about everything. Now he barely listens when I talk. And he's always on his phone, even when I'm telling him about my test results." Lisa was quiet for a moment. "People react differently to stress, Sam. Maybe he's just scared and doesn't know how to show it. Maybe. But yesterday when I told him about possibly needing a transplant, he didn't even ask what that meant. The old Derek would have wanted to know everything about the procedure, the risks, the recovery time. This Derek just said everything would be fine and left. Have you talked to him about how you're feeling?" "I've tried, but he always says work is busy or he's tired. He never stays long enough for a real conversation anymore." That afternoon, Derek came to visit again, but this time he brought his laptop. He said he needed to finish some work while sitting with her. Samantha watched him type emails while she tried to rest. The clicking of the keyboard was the only sound in the room. "Derek, can we talk?" she said after an hour of silence. "Sure, just let me finish this one email." But the one email turned into 3, then 5. Samantha closed her eyes and tried not to cry. She was facing the scariest time of her life, and the person she loved most seemed to care more about his work than being present with her. When Derek finally closed the laptop, he looked at her with a tired smile. "What did you want to talk about?" "Feel like you're pulling away from me?" Samantha said carefully. "I know this is hard for you too, but I need you to be here with me, not just in the room, but really here." Derek reached for her hand again. "I'm sorry if it seems that way. I'm just trying to handle everything. Work, your illness, the medical bills. I'm doing my best to keep it all together." "What medical bills?" "My insurance covers most of it." "Well, there will be more costs if you need surgery." "I'm just trying to plan ahead and make sure we have enough money." Samantha felt a little better hearing this. Maybe Derek was worried about practical things and trying to protect her from financial stress. "You don't have to handle everything alone," she said. "We can figure out the money part together." "I know. I just want to take care of you." But even as he said the words, Samantha noticed he was looking at his phone again. A text message had come in, and his whole body seemed to tense up when he read it. "Who's texting you?" she asked. "Just work stuff," he said quickly, putting the phone face down on the bedside table. The next few days followed the same pattern. Derek would visit, but he seemed distracted and anxious. He would answer her questions with short responses and spend most of his time on his phone or laptop. Other people were around, like nurses or doctors. He would put on a caring boyfriend act, asking questions and holding her hand. But when they were alone, he felt like a stranger. One evening, Derek left his phone on the table when he went to get coffee from the machine down the hall. Samantha stared at it, fighting with herself about whether to look. She had never been the type of person to check someone's phone, but something was telling her that Derek was hiding something important. The phone buzzed with a new message, and the screen lit up. Even though the message was partially hidden, Samantha could see it was from someone named Angel with a heart emoji. The preview showed part of the message. "Missing you so much, baby. When are you coming back too?" ... Samantha's heart started racing, and not because of her medical condition. She reached for the phone with shaking hands, but before she could unlock it, she heard Derek's footsteps coming back down the hallway. She quickly moved her hand away and pretended to be sleeping. Derek came back and picked up his phone immediately. Samantha watched through half-closed eyes as he read the message and typed a quick response. His face looked guilty and nervous. "I have to go," he said suddenly. "Emergency at work." "But you just got here an hour ago," Samantha said, opening her eyes. "I know, I'm sorry. I'll make it up to you tomorrow, I promise." After he left, Samantha lay in the dark room with her mind racing. Who was Angel? Why was someone calling Derek baby and asking when he was coming back? And why did Derek look so guilty when he read the message? For the first time since her diagnosis, Samantha felt like her heart was breaking for reasons that had nothing to do with her medical condition. The man she loved and trusted was hiding something from her, and she was too weak and sick to do anything about it. The machines around her continued their steady beeping, but inside her chest, everything felt like it was falling apart. Samantha could not sleep that night. The image of the text message kept flashing in her mind. Angel with a heart emoji. "Missing you so much, baby. When are you coming back too?" A's repeated over and over until she felt sick to her stomach. She tried to convince herself there was an innocent explanation. Maybe Angel was a coworker with a strange nickname. Maybe it was a family member or old friend. But deep in her heart, she knew she was lying to herself. The guilty look on Derek's face when he read the message told her everything she needed to know. The next morning, Derek did not come to visit. He sent a text saying he had to travel for work and would be back in a few days. This was the first time since her diagnosis that he had mentioned traveling. Samantha stared at the message on her phone, feeling more alone than ever. Lisa came by during her lunch break and found Samantha crying quietly in her hospital bed. "What's wrong?" Lisa asked, immediately concerned. "Did the doctors give you bad news?" "It's not about my heart," Samantha said between sobs. "It's about Derek." She told Lisa about the text message and Derek's sudden work trip. Lisa listened with a worried expression that grew darker as Samantha spoke. "I think he might be seeing someone else," Samantha whispered. "I think he's been lying to me this whole time." Lisa sat down heavily in the chair. "Sam, you're sick and scared. Sometimes our minds play tricks on us when we're stressed. Are you sure you saw what you think you saw?" "I know what I saw. Someone named Angel calling him baby and asking when. He's coming back. And the way he looked when he read it, Lisa, he looked guilty. Even if that's true, you can't do anything about it right now. You need to focus on getting better." "How can I focus on getting better when the person I love might be betraying me? What if he leaves me while I'm dying?" Lisa squeezed her hand. "You're not dying? And if Derek is stupid enough to hurt you during the hardest time of your life, then he doesn't deserve you anyway." But Samantha could not let it go. Over the next 3 days while Derek was away, she became obsessed with finding out the truth. She asked the nurses if they had noticed anything strange about Derek's behavior. She tried to remember every conversation they had over the past weeks, looking for clues she might have missed. On the 3rd day, Derek returned from his trip. Seemed different somehow, more relaxed and happy than he had been in weeks. He brought her flowers and chocolate, and he was more attentive than he had been in a long time. "I missed you," he said, kissing her forehead. "How are you feeling?" "Better now that you're back," Samantha said, studying his face. "How was your work trip?" "Boring meetings and long days. But it's good to be back home with you." For a moment, Samantha felt relief. Maybe she had been wrong about everything. Maybe Derek really had been stressed about work and her illness, and the trip had helped him clear his head. But then she noticed something that made her blood run cold. Derek had a slight tan on his face and arms. Not the kind of tan someone gets from sitting in meeting rooms all day, but the kind that comes from spending time outdoors in sunny weather. She also noticed a small bandage on his wrist that looked like it might be covering a wristband mark. "Exactly did you go for work?" she asked casually. "Chicago. Lots of meetings with clients." Chicago in March is still pretty cold, isn't it? Derek paused for just a second too long. Yeah, it was freezing. I barely went outside, except to get from the hotel to the office. But Samantha had seen enough. The tan, the hesitation, the way he wouldn't quite meet her eyes. Derek was lying to her, and she needed to know the truth. That night after Derek left, Samantha made a decision that would change everything. She called her friend Mark, who worked in the hospital's IT department. Mark had always had a crush on her, and she knew he would do almost anything to help her. "Mark, I need a favor," she said when he answered. "I think someone might be using my situation to scam people online. Can you help me search for anything about me or my illness on social media?" "Of course," Mark said immediately. "What kind of thing are you looking for? Fundraising pages, donation requests, anything that mentions my name or my heart condition?" Mark promised to search that night and get back to her in the morning. Samantha barely slept, wondering what he might find. The next morning, Mark came to her room with a tablet and a grim expression on his face. "Sam, I found something, but you're not going to like it." He showed her a fundraising page on a popular donation website. The page had her photo, details about her heart condition, and a heartbreaking story about a young nurse who needed help paying for a life-saving transplant. The page had raised over $15,000 in donations, but the name on the account was Derek's. And the story wasn't exactly true. It made Samantha sound much sicker than she actually was, and it claimed that insurance wouldn't cover any of the costs. The page painted Derek as a devoted boyfriend who was working multiple jobs to pay for her care. "There's more," Mark said. Quietly, he scrolled down to show her the comments section. Dozens of people had left messages of support and encouragement. They called Derek a hero and said they were inspired by his love and dedication. Samantha felt sick to her stomach. How long has this been up? Based on the first donations, about 6 weeks, right around the time you got your diagnosis. "He's been using my illness to get money from strangers," Samantha whispered. "All those times he said he was worried about medical bills. He was actually collecting money and keeping it for himself." But Mark wasn't finished. "Sam, there's something else. I found his social media accounts, and I think you need to see this." He showed her Derek's Instagram account, which was mostly private, but had a few public photos. The most recent ones were from his supposed work trip to Chicago, except the photos showed him on a beach with palm trees and blue water, and in several of the photos, he was with a young woman with long blonde hair. In one photo, Derek had his arm around the woman, and they were both smiling at the camera. The caption read, "Perfect getaway with my angel. Life is good." Hands were shaking as she looked at the photos. Angel, the woman from the text message. Derek had not been on a work trip to Chicago. He had been on vacation with another woman, using money that people had donated to help pay for Samantha's medical care. "I'm so sorry, Sam," Mark said softly. "I wish I didn't have to show you this." Samantha could not speak. Had reached into her chest and torn out what was left of her damaged heart. The man she loved, the man she had trusted with her life, had been living a complete lie. While she was lying in a hospital bed, scared and alone, he was on a beach with another woman, spending money that kind-hearted strangers had donated to help save her life. "There's more," Mark continued. "I looked up the woman in the photos. Her name is Angela Morrison, and she lives in Miami. According to her social media, She's been in a relationship with Derek for over a year. Over a year. That meant Derek had been with Angela before he even met Samantha. Her entire relationship had been built on lies. While Samantha thought she was falling in love with a wonderful man who cared about helping others, Derek had been playing a game with her heart and her life. "What do you want me to do with this information?" Mark asked. Samantha wiped the tears from her eyes and tried to think clearly. She was too weak and sick to confront Derek directly, but she could not let him continue stealing money from people who were trying to help her. "Can you help me report the fundraising page?" she asked. "Already on it. I've screenshot everything and reported it to the website. They'll investigate and hopefully shut it down." "Thank you, Mark. I don't know what I would have done without your help." After Mark left, Samantha lay in her hospital bed staring at the ceiling. She had thought her heart condition was the worst thing that could happen to her, but she was wrong. Having the person she loved most betray her trust was so much worse than any physical pain. She knew she had to end things with Derek, but she was scared. She was sick and vulnerable, and Derek had been her main source of emotional support even. If that support had been fake, how could she face a heart transplant and recovery without anyone by her side? But as she thought about the photos of Derek laughing on the beach with Angela, Samantha realized she had already been facing everything alone. Derek had never really been there for her. He'd been using her illness as a way to get money and sympathy, while giving his real love and attention to someone else. The worst part was that she still loved him. Even knowing what he had done, part of her wanted to believe there was some explanation, some way that it could all be a misunderstanding. But the evidence was clear, and Samantha knew she had to find the strength to face the truth. Her heart was broken in more ways than one, but she was still alive. And as long as she was alive, she had to keep fighting for herself, even if no one else would. 3 days after Mark showed her the photos, Samantha was lying in her hospital bed when Dr. Chen walked in with a smile on her face. It was the first time Samantha had seen her doctor look happy in weeks. "I have good news," Dr. Chen said, sitting down beside the bed. "We found a heart for you. A match became available this morning, and we need to move quickly." Samantha's chest tightened with fear and hope at the same time. "How quickly?" "We're scheduling surgery for tomorrow morning. I know it's sudden, but we can't wait for a better time. Your heart is getting weaker every day, and this might be our only chance." Samantha nodded, trying to process the information. She had been waiting for this moment for months, but now that it was here, she felt terrified. "What do I need to do?" "We need to get your consent forms signed. Then we'll need to contact your emergency contact and family members. The surgery will take several hours, and recovery will be long, but this is your best chance for a normal life." "My emergency contact is Derek," Samantha said quietly. "My boyfriend." Dr. Chen looked at her chart. "Yes, Derek Matthews. We'll call him right away. We'll need to sign some papers as well, since he's listed as your healthcare proxy."
After
Chen left, Samantha stared at the ceiling and tried to figure out what to do. She had not spoken to Derek since discovering his lies, and she was not sure she could face him. But the hospital needed him to sign papers, and she was too weak to handle everything alone. She decided to call Lisa first. When Lisa heard about the surgery, she immediately asked for time off work to be there. "I'll be there tonight," Lisa promised. "You don't have to go through this alone. The hospital's going to call Derek," Samantha said. "I don't know what to say to him. Just focus on the surgery for now. Deal with Derek later." An hour later, Derek rushed into her room looking panicked and concerned. For a moment, Samantha almost forgot about his betrayal. He looked like the caring man she had fallen in love with, and she wanted to believe that everything she had discovered was somehow a mistake. "I came as soon as the hospital called," Derek said, reaching for her hand. "They said, 'You're having surgery tomorrow? Are you okay? Are you scared?'" "I'm terrified," Samantha admitted. "But I need this surgery to live." Derek squeezed her hand. "I'll be here with you through everything. I promise I won't leave your side." But even as he said the words, Samantha could see his phone buzzing with messages in his pocket. She wondered if Angela was texting him, asking when he would be back. In Miami, Dr. Chen returned with a stack of papers. "Derek, I need you to sign these consent forms. As Samantha's healthcare proxy, you have the authority to make medical decisions if she becomes unable to do so during surgery. Derek took the papers and started signing them quickly. "Whatever she needs," he said. "I just want her to get better." "There's also the matter of insurance and payment," Dr. Chen continued. "The surgery and recovery will cost about $200,000. Samantha's insurance covers most of it, but there will be about $15,000 in out-of-pocket expenses." "That's not a problem," Derek said immediately. "I'll take care of whatever isn't covered." Samantha watched his face as he said this, knowing that he had already collected more than $15,000 from his fake fundraising page. He was using money that people had donated for her care to pay for her surgery, making himself look like a hero in the process. "I'll need to set up the payment plan with the billing department," Derek continued. "Can I do that now?" "Of course. I'll have someone from billing come up to talk with you."
Oh.
After Dr. Chen left, Derek turned back to Samantha.
I'll see.
"I would take care of everything. You don't need to worry about money or anything else. Just focus on getting better." Samantha wanted to scream. She wanted to tell him that she knew about Angela, about the fake fundraising page, about all his lies. But she was having surgery in 12 hours, and she needed to stay calm. She could not afford to have her heart rate spike or her blood pressure rise. "Thank you," she said quietly. Derek spent the next few hours handling paperwork and talking to doctors. To anyone watching, he looked like the perfect boyfriend, taking care of every detail so his sick girlfriend wouldn't have to worry. But Samantha could see through the act now. She noticed how he kept checking his phone and how he seemed eager to finish the paperwork quickly. That evening, Lisa came to visit and brought Samantha's favorite magazines and snacks. Derek was polite to Lisa, but Samantha could tell he was impatient. He kept looking at his watch and mentioning that he had some work calls to make. "I'm going to step out for a few minutes to handle some business," Derek said around 8 o'clock. "I'll be back soon." After he left, Lisa sat down beside Samantha's bed. "How are you feeling about tomorrow?" "Scared, but also relieved that it's finally happening." "Are you going to tell Derek what you know?" Samantha shook her head. "Not before surgery. I can't handle that kind of stress right now. I'll deal with it afterward if I survive." "Don't talk like that. You're going to be fine. I hope so." "Lisa, if something happens to me during surgery, I want you to know that I found out about Derek's lies. He's been stealing money from people and cheating on me. Don't let him pretend to be the grieving boyfriend if I don't make it." Lisa squeezed her hand. "You're going to make it, and you're going to be strong enough to deal with Derek yourself." Derek returned an hour later, but he seemed distracted and anxious. He kept excusing himself to make phone calls. When he thought Samantha was sleeping, she heard him whispering into his phone. "I know, baby. I wish I could be there too. But I have to stay here until after the surgery. It would look bad if I left now." Samantha's heart broke all over again. Even on the night before her life-saving surgery, Derek was talking to Angela and wishing he could be with her instead. The next morning, the nurses came early to prepare Samantha for surgery. They gave her medication to help her relax and started the 4 that would keep her hydrated during the long procedure. Derek was there when they came to take her to the operating room. He kissed her forehead and squeezed her hand. "I love you," he said. "I'll be waiting right here when you wake up." "I love you too," Samantha replied, though the words felt empty now as they wheeled her toward the operating room. Samantha saw Derek walking toward the elevator. She assumed he was going to the surgical waiting room, but something made her ask the nurse to stop for a moment. "Derek!" she called out weakly. He turned around, and she could see his phone in his hand. He was already making a call. "Where are you going?" "Just to get some coffee," he said quickly. "I'll be in the waiting room." But Samantha could hear him talking as he got on the elevator. "Yeah, I'm leaving now. Surgery will take about 6 hours, so I should be there by noon." Elevator doors closed, and Samantha realized the horrible truth. Derek was not going to the waiting room. He was leaving the hospital while she was having surgery. While she was fighting for her life, he was going to be with Angela. "Did you hear that?" she asked the nurse weakly. "Hear what, honey?" "Nothing. Never mind." As they wheeled her into the operating room, Samantha closed her eyes and tried to prepare herself for surgery. She was about to get a new heart, but the one she had was completely broken. The man she loved had abandoned her at the moment she needed him most. The anesthesia began to take effect, and Samantha's last conscious thought was that she was truly alone. Derek had signed all the papers to make himself look good, but when it came time to actually be there for her, he had chosen Angela instead. She was getting a new heart from a stranger. But the man who was supposed to love her had thrown her old one away like garbage. As she drifted off to sleep, Samantha wondered if she would be strong enough to face the truth about Derek when she woke up, if she woke up at all. Samantha woke up slowly, her mind foggy from the anesthesia. The first thing she noticed was the steady beeping of machines, different from before. The second thing was the dull ache in her chest where they had opened her up for surgery. Third thing was that Derek was not there. She looked around the recovery room and saw Lisa sitting in a chair beside her bed. Lisa was reading a book. But when she saw Samantha's eyes open, she immediately stood up with a big smile. "You're awake," Lisa said, taking her hand gently. "How do you feel?" "Like I got hit by a truck," Samantha whispered. Her throat was sore from the breathing tube they had used during surgery. "The surgery went perfectly. Dr. Chen said your new heart is working beautifully. You're going to be okay, Sam." Samantha felt tears running down her face. She was alive. She had a new heart, and she was going to live. But looking around the empty room, she felt the pain of Derek's betrayal all over again. "Derek never came back, did he?" she asked. Lisa's face grew serious. "No, he didn't." "But Sam, we need to talk about something important." Lisa pulled her chair closer and kept her voice low. "After you went into surgery, I got suspicious about Derek leaving, so I called the hospital billing department to ask about the payment for your surgery." "What did you find out?" "Derek never set up a payment plan like he said he would. The $15,000 was paid in cash this morning by someone who said they were representing Derek, but the person who paid was a woman." Samantha closed her eyes. Even Derek's final gesture of paying for her surgery had been a lie. He had probably sent Angela to pay with the stolen donation money while he stayed somewhere else. "There's more," Lisa continued. "Mark did some more investigating, found out that Derek closed his apartment lease 3 days ago. His neighbors saw him moving boxes into a truck with a woman matching Angela's description. I think he's been planning to leave town for a while." "So everything was fake," Samantha said quietly. "The whole time I was dying, he was planning his new life with someone else." "I'm so sorry, Sam. I know how much you loved him." "The worst part is that I still love him," Samantha admitted. "Even knowing what he did, part of me keeps hoping he'll walk through that door and explain everything. That's normal. You can't turn off love like a light switch. But you deserve so much better than someone who would use your illness to steal money and then abandon you." Over the next few days, Samantha slowly began to recover from surgery. Her new heart was working well, and she was getting stronger each day. But the emotional healing was much harder than the physical recovery. Derek never came back to the hospital, never called or sent a message. It was like he had vanished from her life completely. Lisa told her that his phone number was disconnected, and his social media accounts had been deleted. On her 5th day in recovery, Samantha had a visitor she was not expecting. A middle-aged woman with kind eyes came into her room carrying a small bouquet of flowers. "Are you Samantha?" the woman asked. "My name is Patricia Wilson. I think we need to talk." Samantha was confused. "I'm sorry, do I know you?" "No, but I know about you. I donated money to your fundraising page. $500 that I had been saving for my own vacation." Samantha felt her face turn red with embarrassment. "I'm so sorry. I didn't know about that page until a few days ago. I never asked Derek to set it up." "I know," Patricia said, sitting down. "I figured that out when the website contacted me about the investigation. They're working with police to track down Derek and get the money back. I feel terrible that people like you got scammed because of me." Patricia smiled. "Don't feel bad. I didn't donate the money because of Derek. I donated it because I read about a young nurse who dedicated her life to helping others and then got sick herself. That person was you, not him. But you lost your vacation money. Money can be earned back, but you can't get back your health or your trust. Derek stole much more from you than he did from any of us." Patricia stayed for an hour, telling Samantha about her own experiences with heart problems and how nurses like Samantha had helped her family through difficult times. When she left, Samantha felt a little bit better about herself. The next day, Mark visited with more news about Derek. The police had tracked him down in Miami. He was living with Angela in an expensive apartment that he had rented using the stolen donation money. He had been arrested and charged with fraud. The good news is that they recovered most of the money, Mark said. The website is going to return donations to everyone who contributed, and Derek will probably go to prison for a few years. Feel good about him going to prison, Samantha said. I just wanted him to stop hurting people. He made his choices, Sam. You didn't force him to steal money or lie to you. He did that all by himself. As the weeks passed, Samantha continued to heal. Her new heart was working perfectly, and she was getting stronger every day. But more importantly, she was learning to heal emotionally from Derek's betrayal. Lisa visited every day, bringing news from the hospital and updates on Samantha's patients. Other nurses from her department came to visit too, bringing cards and flowers. Samantha realized that she had a whole network of people who cared about her, even if Derek had never really been one of them. 1 month after her surgery, Dr. Chen cleared Samantha to go home. She was strong enough to walk around and take care of herself, though she would need to take medication for the rest of her life to prevent her body from rejecting the new heart. Your recovery has been amazing, Dr. Chen told her. Your new heart is working beautifully, and your body has accepted it completely. You should be able to return to work in a few months. I can't wait, Samantha said. I've missed taking care of patients. Actually, I have a proposal for you, Dr. Chen continued. The hospital is starting a new program to help patients and families deal with the emotional side of serious illness. We want someone to coordinate support groups and educational sessions. Would you be interested, Samantha? I thought about it. She'd learned more about betrayal, loneliness, and healing in the past few months than most people learn in a lifetime. Maybe she could use that experience to help others. I would love to do that, she said. 6 months later, Samantha was back at work in a new role. She ran support groups for heart patients and their families, helping them navigate the emotional challenges of serious illness. She also worked with the hospital's financial counselors to help patients avoid scams and protect themselves from people who might try to take advantage of their vulnerability. One evening, she was leading a support group when a young man raised his hand. My girlfriend has been acting strange since I got sick, he said. She's always on her phone. And she seems more interested in talking about my illness with other people than talking to me about it. Should I be worried? Samantha looked at him with understanding. Tell me more about what you've noticed. As the young man described his girlfriend's behavior, Samantha recognized the warning signs that she had missed with Derek. She was able to help him see the red flags and protect himself before he got hurt the way she had. After the meeting, Samantha walked to her car feeling fulfilled in a way she had never experienced before. Her new heart was not just keeping her alive physically, it was helping her find a new purpose in life. She had learned that love should not hurt the way Derek had hurt her. Real love meant being present during the hard times, not running away or using someone's pain for personal gain. She had also learned that she was stronger than she had ever imagined. Derek had taken advantage of her trust and used her illness to steal money from kind people. But he had not destroyed her ability to love or her desire to help others. In fact, his betrayal had taught her how to recognize the signs of manipulation and protect others from similar harm. As she drove home, Samantha thought about the heart donor who had saved her life. She did not know who they were, but she was grateful every day for their gift. They had given her a second chance at life. She was determined to use it to make the world a little bit better. She had cried after watching Derek break her heart, but now she was using that pain to help others protect theirs. And that felt like the best kind of healing possible.